Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stay True Committed podcast with your host, Karen Oliver. Today, I have a special guest with me, Crystal Barak, and I'm getting ready to let her in so she can join us. We're going to be talking about finding stillness and going within. So, I hope you guys are live on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm getting ready to bring Mrs. Crystal in. Hi, Crystal. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming in. I know that you have a busy schedule, and we are live here on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And we are live. And so today we're going to be talking about finding stillness and going within. And we're going to talk to Crystal about, some advice and tips. And I want her to give us just a journey about her yoga practice. When did she fall into entrepreneurship? We're going to talk a little bit about those things. And we're just going to let Crystal lead. So, Crystal, thank you so much for taking the time out to come on the Stay True Committed podcast with me. It's a pleasure. I know that you are a yoga teacher. You have your own practice, and you've been doing this for a while. So, can you tell us a little bit about, the yoga practice and finding your stillness?
Sure. Thank you, Karen. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So, just a quick background for me. The first time that I practiced yoga, I was 19 years old. So, that's almost 23 years ago. And I couldn't take it serious. I laughed and giggled with my best friend throughout the whole thing. And it's just kind of funny looking back on where I started. So, fast forward to a few years later, I think I was about 25 when I really dove into the physical practice of yoga again. I was bartending in Las Vegas, and very different lifestyle than I have right now. And I started going to yoga because, it was just becoming more popular and I was hearing more about it. And I don't really, back then, I had no idea really what yoga really was. I just knew that going to a yoga class, a mainstream yoga class, helps me to find more ease and more stillness and more peace in my life. Like many of us in my 20s, I was very insecure, had a lot of fears, and spent a lot of time in my mind and didn't even realize how disconnected I was from my body. So, attending regular yoga classes back then was really good for me, and then it just kind of went from there. After dabbling into yoga for, I'd have to do the math, but for several years of practicing, I finally decided that I wanted to go deeper and become a teacher. So I think it was about 2013 that I took my first yoga teacher training. And I realized then that was also the same year that I traveled to India with a large group and kind of explored yoga on a different level. And it was that year that I really learned that I knew nothing about yoga, that the yoga that we practice here in our country, or the majority of the yoga, is not really what yoga is all about. So we have the physical practice of yoga is really just a tool to help bring us into a meditative state. So it's just to help to prepare the body and the mind for meditation. And in addition to the physical practice, which is called asana, there's also pranayama, which is like breath work, and as well as mantra, so like chanting Sanskrit. And then there's some other tools as well, but those are kind of the main ones that really help to prepare us for stillness, for meditation. So yoga really, if I'm going to kind of dive into that for a moment, if you don't mind, yoga really is the union of self with the divine. So whatever the divine is for you, this higher power, this greater purpose, this deep connection, this love in our heart, but it's really to help bring us into union with that. So through the physical practice or through chanting or through pranayama, we're just clearing out energy blocks in our body. We're balancing our emotions. We are bringing stillness into our mind, stilling our body, exhausting our body, even stilling the mind, so that we can sit in meditation and not just be in meditation, but come into a meditative state, which is really where the fruits of the labor are, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a place that we come to where we can tap into our own creative potential, our intuition, our, we can receive clarity for all the
Yes.
things that we long for in our heart and our souls. So, I don't know if I completely answered your question, but
Yes.
that's kind of a quick version of the backstory of yoga for me. And I just fell in love with the deeper practice of yoga and what that really is.
That's awesome. I know I started implementing yoga in my fitness 2 years ago, and I've heard a lot of conversations about yoga, and I had started studying it a little bit more. And with your experience, I know that you can help me, Crystal, because I had a lot of backlash about it. By like, yeah, you got to be careful how you do yoga, and just reading your biography and listening to. Looking at your website, I know you teach on, like you said, meditation, and you teach on spirituality. And I know a lot of people, sometimes get a little bit confused about the way people teach yoga, because they was like, well, sometimes they go into another realm. And I said, well, I have to get with somebody that has been doing yoga longer than me, so I can learn how to explain it. Because I said, it's what you bring to your spirit. It's not what everybody else is doing with it, but it's about, like you said, physical fitness, meditation, getting that clarity. And I think some people get kind of afraid of some of the people who do the chanting. They was like, well, I don't know what they're saying, and I don't know if it's witchcraft or whatever. So can you explain? Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit, about that, just to give people out there clarity about
Sure.
spirituality and yoga?
Sure. First, I'll say that one time I was teaching to this lovely group. I used to teach a lot of corporate yoga, and I would do these guided meditations, and someone said to me, "I feel like you're hypnotizing me." And it was just this beautiful group who had never done yoga before,
Hmm.
and it was like a couples retreat uniting PTSD. Actually, it was about PTSD from the military and reuniting with spouses, and it was a really lovely retreats that they asked me to teach at. And but anyways, it just kind of makes me laugh because you're right. Like, you don't know until you know. You don't know until you've experienced. And so chanting, for example, and then the other thing is, like, everybody has a different background, right? So
Right.
if we grew up religious, we might feel, a certain way about, like, we might already have a set of beliefs about anything different than what we're used to or what we've been drawn to. Um and I actually grew up super or pretty religious as well as a child. And for a long time, even the word God kind of triggered me because I just didn't understand. Like, well, I knew
Hmm.
what that meant in my religion, but what does that mean to me?
Right.
So as far as chanting goes, so chanting in yoga, the language is called Sanskrit. So Sanskrit is one of the oldest languages that exists, that is barely used as a language anymore. So we still carry on the traditions of chanting, the Vedic traditions of chanting Sanskrit. But I think that the number of people who actually just speak Sanskrit is like super, super small, like 1% of Hindus. So Sanskrit really is, they're words that carry vibration. So if we can think of everything as energy, everything, like the trees have vibrations, our
Right.
our bodies have vibrations. Everything is a vibration. Everything is sound, which is sometimes hard to understand with our mind. But chanting Sanskrit just invites these vibrations into our body. So if there's something that we're working through, so maybe we want to, maybe we're trying to change our patterns or our habits, or there's things that we know that don't serve us that we want to let go of. We could bring in a Sanskrit mantra that would help with that. And just by chanting and feeling the vibration with your intention will help
Mm-hmm.
kind of change those patterns and help you move through things. So I in my opinion with yoga, it's really just a way of living. It can
Yeah,
complement any religion, any tradition, anything. It's just a way of living. And if you
exactly.
wanted to dive deeper into, Hinduism, then you could, but you don't have to. It's just about connecting you with something deeper inside you.
Yeah,
So,
that was very well said, because the key was when you said that everybody has different backgrounds. So they have different, religions, and we can't knock what everybody else's religion is. We just know, what I'm saying, the energy that we're bringing on. We just know what yoga is, to us, and where, like you said, and where it started at, and how you're going to take it. So I think that some, like you said, that some people, take it as, oh, well, so like what's going on here, and this and this
mm-hmm,
and that. But like you said, the key is everybody has a different background, and
absolutely.
what yoga means to you, and your body, your mind, and your soul is what it means to you. Just like it may mean something different to somebody else. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much division in the world right now that that's the last thing that we need to do is focus on,
exactly.
this is the way or this is the path or you need to change. No, like we can be all of it together, So, and to me that's yoga. That's the journey that we're on. And right now I think that a lot of us have kind of strayed away and maybe, gotten even more confused or more lost. But I really do think yoga is is what we need to come back together. And I don't mean that in like, oh, we all have to do the physical practice, but that union, that's what we
Right.
need to find.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. The word union, like you said, it's not enough unity. And you would think that the seasons that we have been in, even though there's been some great things that has been birthed out of, the pandemic season or whatever. But like you were saying, Crystal, we still need that unity. If we could focus on just the unity part and not, oh, well, he or she, they're a little
Yeah.
bit different. Everybody's different.
Every
So, and I think that's what we need to understand, is that everybody is unique, but they're different in their own way. So I know that you do retreats, and I know that you coach this and you mentor this. So when someone comes to you, what is the rundown? What is the first step when somebody says, "Hey, I want to join your yoga practice," or "I need to come to your retreat"?
Well, it depends on how deep someone wants to go. So, starting with just a simple asana, which is, the physical practice, starting with that, I think is a good step. Or even, well, let's put it, I think I want to kind of elaborate a little bit. So,
Okay.
I am different than a lot of yoga teachers out there, right? So you can show up to any yoga class and get a physical practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times you're going to find a really powerful, fit yoga class, like a power class or vinyasa or ashtanga, and that's
Yeah.
really not accessible for all bodies.
Right.
So the yoga that I try to teach and try to bring into the world is a little more accessible for everyone. So I do incorporate the physical practice in my retreats, in my online classes, all of that. There's some courses that don't have the physical practice, I'll say that. But I do
Okay.
incorporate the physical practice, but I am really good at cueing for all bodies, all skill levels, because it's more important that people show up and that they're there and that they are breathing consciously and participating deeply and not worried about being intimidated about coming to a yoga retreat or attending a yoga studio. And there's a lot of different styles of physical practice of
Mm-hmm.
asana, of yoga out there. And so I hear a lot of people say that they don't feel comfortable attending a class at a studio, or they're not flexible enough, or they're not fit enough, or they're not skinny enough, or all those things that come up. So I'd like to just first start by saying that that might be true depending on whose yoga class you go to. And that's something that I would like us as yoga teachers try to fix in our country, because yoga is without a doubt for every single human being.
Yes.
So, so with that, I offer a variety of things that are suitable for all levels. So every once in a while, if someone isn't super physically fit, maybe there's a class that might not be appropriate, but then there's
Yeah.
plenty of other classes that are. So this summer, I'm taking a break on my asana classes, my physical practice classes, and I'll start them back up again in September. But that's just because my
Mhm.
husband and I are traveling this summer. So
Yeah.
the only thing that I have offering, or that I'm offering right now, I have a retreat in July. I have another retreat coming up in November that I don't have listed on my website yet, and then I'm looking already into spring. So things are lining up. My July retreat is in Washington and it's almost sold out. And then
Awesome.
the online courses are I have a course called Align with Your Soul,
Mm.
and that's really focused on connecting deeply, on finding that stillness.
Yes.
And in the course we do breath practices, we do grounding meditations, we do a little bit of chanting, not a lot, and then I kind of take everyone through a soul journey meditation to help you connect more deeply. So that's what I have coming up. um, I think as far as first step, it's just follow your heart and what feels right for you. Find the support, the right teacher, the right coach, the right
Yes.
mentor, um, and then go from there.
Yeah, I agree. You say the key word, as a coach, and as a yoga teacher, and that person out there, and they, like you said, they have to follow their heart. You have to find what is right for your soul, what is right for your mind, what is it that you need, because I'm not just gonna try to sell you something that you don't need. And I think a lot of people kind of miss that. I kind of tell, I did a webinar the other day, and I was like, the key to being authentic is not trying to make somebody spend money on this and that, but it's about the person. It's about the person's heart. It's about compassion, and you're in it to help others, and you're in it to help people, because sure, we've all had our individual trials or individual situations, and so we didn't get into this practice just to get into it, but we want to be able to help others. And as far as yoga, and finding that peaceful balance, is there a lot of clients that come to you that are stressed, or whatnot? Look, that's an easy question, but I'm just like,
Who
look, I'm
isn't?
going to ask Crystal.
Who isn't stressed right now? I mean, even me. We're all showing up as best as we can, and I feel very grateful for the many years of yoga and the support that I have in my life. But even I'm constantly transitioning and evolving. And, my husband and I have been in some big transitions the last few years. I decided to sell my yoga studio, and,
Yeah.
we're about to build a house, and, like, setting ourselves up for a quiet, peaceful life. That's what my soul is longing for.
Yes.
Um, I've been fortunate to live in small towns where the community is really strong, and I've been in nature. But even for me, change is calling me. So I think listening to your heart, not your head, is really
Yeah.
important. And finding someone who's authentic, because a lot of people can talk a big talk, but who's living their talk, who's really
Right.
helping from the heart, not from an ego place. And they're out there, there's both. So, and I also think that it's all okay. Start with where you feel drawn, and don't be attached to anything, and be flexible with what feels next for your life. So
Yeah. And as you were talking, I mean, it's also a support system. People have a support system because they have people that really care about, what I'm saying, their life and where they're going and wanting them to be peaceful. Because, like you said, in this day and time, who ain't stressed? Like you said, you're stressed. Some days you don't want to do or you don't want to get up and go, but you have something special. You're doing something special that is connected not only to to yourself, but connecting to others. So that's a great support system for women and men out here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Hmm.
yeah.
And there, I mean, there's a couple of things. I think the support is probably the number one. Like, make sure you have good support. Who in your life is toxic? Who in your life is draining? Who inspires you? Who uplifts you? And then find, and nowadays you can find support online. You can find groups like the one that
Yes.
I offer. It doesn't have to be physical. Like, there's so many benefits, like you said, that came out of the pandemic. For
Yes.
example, my husband and I are traveling right now in our van for the whole summer, and then we go back to. I mean, we work remotely. I'm
Yes.
still showing up. I'm teaching, but before this year or before the pandemic, life was really busy for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
so things are definitely easing up and shifting for me. And the more connected I am inside, the easier that transition is. So that's kind of what I try to focus on for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing, in yoga we have what's called sadhana. So sadhana is like a daily spiritual practice, and
Mm-hmm.
just finding something that you can be committed to that helps you stay focused and stay connected. And that can be a lot of us, like when we make our New Year's resolutions or we try to make big changes or go on diets and all those things, we tend to set ourselves up for failure, um, and try to take on too much. And if we just start small, like one step at a time, what could you add into your daily spiritual practice that helps you be connected? And
Right.
maybe that's as simple as saying prayers or setting intentions every evening before you go to bed, or a journaling practice, or maybe you
Yes.
get up in the morning and you do 9 sun salutations and then spend just 2 minutes in stillness.
Yes.
Um, I think if we are commit to an hour of yoga every day and an hour of meditation twice a day, or whatever, it's just not realistic. So, what is it that you can commit to? And then your desire has to be stronger than your comfort zone.
Yes.
Your desire or your willingness for a change has to be stronger than the patterns that we've developed for many, many years. So,
Yeah, that's the key word. You said, committing to that and being still, because, like you said, before the pandemic, it was busy, it was crazy. There were things that we were missing, things that we started that we didn't finish. So when the pandemic came, it slowed everything down and it gave us the challenge and to say, hey, you can finish doing this and you can sit still, learn how to
yeah.
sit still and allow yourself to go the pace that you need to go. Yeah.
And with the pandemic, I don't know about for you, but for me, it just allowed this space for me to reevaluate my entire life. Like
Yes.
what are the choices that I've made up until now, and why, and where do I actually want to go? And
Mhm.
I've seen both happen for people. I've seen people, you know, have these amazing shifts. And then I've also seen people get more depressed and have more anxiety and, you
Yeah.
know, really, really struggle. I had a friend who suffered with depression so much that she checked herself into a hospital because she just couldn't handle the pandemic and all the changes that were going on, because it's not just your personal life, it's like collectively,
Yeah.
energetically, it's just been intense the last few years. So some people are trying to slowly climb their way out of it and really needing more support than ever.
Yeah. And it's just like when it's just like when you're so used to being on the go, it's hard for you to learn how to slow down. and and then it can be, like you said, the opposite way. And like you say, you're just like everybody's just trying to adjust. And so what you're doing and what other, yoga teachers and coaches and consultants are doing, I mean, it's very needed. A lot of people like to put us, kind of like on the end stick, but really we're in the, front face of things, the front face of people, of what we need, not just them, but, like you said, we also need it too. We had to find ways to balance and do the things that we need to do, but we're all just, like you say, we just need to be all in this together. Unity, is the key. And it's important to find stillness, because if you can't, and then you have no peace of mind.
Yeah, I feel like we're just not, stillness is no longer an option. Meditation is no longer an option. We need it. We have to have it. So
Yes.
it's just so important for our well-being moving forward, for the shift that our planet is moving into, for everything. We have to be able to trust ourselves and trust our heart and our soul and our own desires more than we place trust on people or the government or all the other things that are telling us what to do.
Exactly.
It's like no, you can take ownership of your life and you
Yes.
can co-create from a place that's authentic from your own heart. It's just learning how to get there. And I do feel like time is so weird these days. Like things are speeding up and things are happening faster than ever before. So I definitely think that things that maybe used to take 5 to 10 years for
Hmm.
someone could happen in a year.
Yeah.
So it's just how committed are you and how strong is your desire?
Yeah. And, just, I don't know about you, Crystal, but to me, it seems like things are speeding up. And it's like we have to catch up with the world and what's going on, because like you said, what took 5 and 10 years is not taking that long anymore. And it seems like the days are not longer, the days are getting shorter. Before, we're
Yes.
almost at the end of the week, and you're like, oh well, we're already 6 months in, we only have 6 more months left until the end of the year. So my question for you is, what would you suggest, or you would advise to the audience, about what you encourage them to do for the next 6 months before 2023 comes in. What are some
Sure.
things that you have done these last 6 months, just to encourage people out there?
Well, I would say if you have if you don't have a practice already, the number one thing that you can do for your well-being is breath awareness. I 100% believe that if you change the quality of your breath, you will change the quality of your life. And the more that you can bring awareness to your breath, deep breathing, nasal breathing, equal breathing, the more awareness that you can bring to your breath throughout your entire day, it will bring great change. Like, I mean, we all know that taking a deep breath helps you relax. So, what if you can bring that in more into your life? So, I would say if you don't have a practice yet, let that be your focus. Um, and then, in addition to that, find support. So, I have my next course is starting the first week in July. We meet once a week. It's a 4 week commitment, but it's also an ongoing program if anybody wants to continue after the 4 weeks. Um, I didn't mention this before, but I also have a book that I wrote that was
Awesome.
published earlier this year called Yoga Beyond the Physical. And I'll just show it. I don't know if you might throw
Yes.
it in the show notes, but Yoga Beyond the Physical, practices and insights to deepen your yoga and enrich your life. So if you're doing your own home practice, there's a lot of things in my book that can help you with that. There's also some personal stories in there as well about my journey. Um, but I would say breath awareness, start there. Like that's probably the most important thing for us to bring ease into our life. And then find support, find meditation groups or coaches or energy healers, where whatever you're drawn to. Join my online course, come to a retreat, find a teacher. There's so many things. So um, that would be my suggestion. So support and breath awareness will be our key things there. And breath awareness helps you go within. Yoga asana practice helps you go within, helps you connect to your body and connect to your breath.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. And I
You're
definitely
welcome.
have the book and the show notes and your links. And you are on Facebook and Instagram as well. So we do have your links there. You guys get in there. We need this, get into that retreat, get into those classes. And thank you so much, Crystal, for elaborating on the history in yoga, because a lot of people don't. You summed it up really good, and because I wanted a lot of people to understand. I've had people come and ask me, so I'm so glad that I was able to connect with you and that you were able to come on the Stay True Committed podcast and talk with the audience. It was a pleasure having you, and any way that we can support you, we would definitely be glad to do as
Thank
well.
you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen, for having me. It's been a pleasure. I want to just quickly say I do have some free guided meditations on my website too, as well. If anyone wants to jump on and try some of those, you are welcome. So I'm sure you'll put my website in the notes. And it was a pleasure. Thank you again for having me. And maybe I'll see you again on sometime.
Yes, of course. Thanks so much, Crystal.
Thank
Thank you, everyone, for catching the Stay True Committed podcast, and we'll be back with another episode. Bye.
you.